Badger. Come back!
Yeah. Now you'll be back. Trust issues.
Yeah.
It used to be a lot worse.
Yeah. And your trust issues.
I like working on this kind of scale of projects, just not massive, you know. It was quite lo-fi, indie drama. You know, a lot of my favorite films are the indie films anyway. I mean, I've worked on some big stuff and I like doing that, but I'm probably at my, you know, most comfortable, you know, on a, you know, something of this scale. You know, the coming-of-age drama is a genre that I do like, and some of my favorite films, you know, have been, you know, would fit into that category. Stuff like, say, Breaking Away, you know, which is a late 70s film with Peter Yates set in Indiana, or Dennis Hopper's film Out of the Blue. You know, teenage coming-of-age dramas set in kind of rural, set rurally, with a bit of edge to it. I was arriving, you know, a few weeks into the shoot, so they'd established, you know, what they had going on, which was that everyone was living, you know, at close quarters to each other in the same building, and, you know, quite, communally sharing rooms, you know. So you were just straight into it. It wasn't essential that I you know, was super familiar with Emery, who plays, you know, I play his father. He plays Casper. My character is called Clayton. As we're coming to the story at a point in his life where he's just reconnecting with his father, we thought, well, you know, we don't have to do, you know, we don't have to, we're better off just filming that. Whatever happens between these two people, let's just, you know, film it. There was also, you know, there was quite a bit of just, you know, there was a leeway to just, you know, go off piste, off script, and, you know, so there's quite a lot of moments in the film there that are just stuff that was happening, you know. There's an air of unpredictability to it, and, you know, there was stuff there that, you know, people were surprising each other all the time with what they did and what they said, you know, because it wasn't always rehearsed or even scripted. I mean, I think the feel of the film is quite organic and naturalistic, and it suits it, you know. There wasn't a lot of lingering thought afterwards about what should have been or, you know, what could have been. It was more like, it was quite a solid, you know, experience that you just kind of switched off from, which I quite like to do, you know, do something, get into something, and then just forget about it forever. I would have rather, you know, not show up looking like Littlefinger, you know, but I was also working on going straight back to Game of Thrones, so I had to, you know, on the way back I'm like learning my lines on the plane for the other thing, so they very kindly, you know, gave me, you know, cleared me for, you know, 10 days to travel off, and I was trying not to be too Littlefinger. Only my moustache, which was inevitable because I couldn't shave it off. There's a lot of characters in Game of Thrones, so the actors tend to have a lot of time off, you know, so you'll kind of do your bit stuff and then go off, and it means I can come here and go back and shoot next week or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting character. I think they all are, you know, I think people change and they're not always what they, you know, like say Jaime Lannister, for example, just to pick one out, you know. He starts off one way and then, you know, you think you know him and then you're kind of going, all right, he's maybe a little bit not what we thought. And I think there's a little bit of that with Littlefinger as well. I hope there is anyway. And it's exciting that George Martin is still writing the books, you know, that we don't know what's going to happen, you know. That's very exciting for the audience, for the people making it, you know, for the actors. It does affect what you're doing in that you can't really play the end game because you don't really know what it is. Well, actually, I do know.